Hi, everyone. Welcome back to As Told by Zink with your host, Samantha. I'm in studio with David. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Great.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I told you I was just at your podcast with Aisha. And so and then to have you on my podcast, the world works in mysterious ways.
Such a pleasure being here.
Yeah, and you live in Los Angeles?
I do. I live in Los Angeles pretty much all my life, with a 7-year stint in New York.
And you would not want to leave?
No, I would not want to leave. I mean, you have so much culture, so many amazing people like yourself in different pockets of Los Angeles. You have Beverly Hills, you have West Hollywood, you have Venice, you have Santa Monica, you have Culver City, you have Studio City. It just goes on and on. So many different communities, so many beautiful people. The weather is perfect, and there's a lot going on. There's culture, there's dinners, there's events almost every night.
Yeah, everybody, whenever I tell anybody that I'm from New York, they're like, the restaurants there are amazing. I'm like, the restaurants in LA are amazing.
All the best foods start here. Like the Air Ones of the world. I don't think New York has Air One.
No, they have like a knockoff version. I mean, New York is cool. So New York has the hustle. When I came to LA in 20 or
you didn't feel the hustle?
I didn't know if anyone worked. I was like,
people are successful here, but you just can't tell if they're working or not because they're enjoying themselves. There's a difference.
Yes, everyone's their own business. I came here like an Energizer bunny, just a hustle in me and just go, go, go. And everyone's just like, we don't do that here. We're relaxed.
Yeah, we don't need to stress out here.
Yeah, and the wellness hub too. Everybody with the ice baths, and it's totally different than New York because we're just eating pizza and pasta and drinking way too much. And then here we're like, no one's drinking. We're putting ourselves.
Nobody's drinking here. Everyone's going to bed at 9:30. Restaurants are closed by 10.
Yes. So it was great for my health in my 30s. New York, great for your 20s, but you're right. It's a beautiful place.
Great. And I also have seen that you can get more done in LA because the city in New York, what it used to do is it used to take so much out of me that I could have maybe 4 or 5 meetings and then you need a reset or you need to leave the city. In LA, the weather, the people, the energy is always resetting you. So I find myself having 10 to 12 meetings here and having just as much energy. So it energizes you. The city doesn't take away from you in LA.
I mean, it's so true. And honestly, I didn't realize, but I was not happy in New York. I think people chase happiness and chase what does happiness feel like? And then I came to LA and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel a blissful life here.
That is true.
New York is just toxic, but a beautiful place. It just
most of your demos from where? Where all over the U.S. or all over the world?
I would say all over the world. Oh my gosh, when I see the different places, I'm like, how and why?
How do they find you?
Podcasts are cool because honestly, it's not one place. Like it's spread all over throughout the world.
That's right.
And even, you know this as well, even just being active on social media and just going viral on TikTok or Instagram. You have so many people from all over. It's not just where you live, and it's so cool.
Correct. I didn't even have social media 6-7 months ago. I had maybe 1,000 followers, and I just started posting the content that you see, the spiritual content, the Kabbalah content, and it grew like crazy. But one of the things I noticed was that probably 30% of my following is like in Asia or India, Dubai, all over the world, and it resonates with their spiritual foundations. So the US was first, I think India was second, and then maybe the UK was third. It was very interesting.
You grew. Okay, so I already told you everyone listens to this for social media tips and tricks.
Yes.
I mean, you are now almost 400,000 follers.
Yes.
So how did you
all
blow
organic?
Up so quick?
I promise I didn't buy one of those. Yeah.
Oh, so, I've seen your engagement. It's definitely organic.
The engagement is crazy. Yes.
It's very crazy. So any tips and tricks for anyone trying to blow up on social media?
Okay, it was very interesting because I started studying Kabbalah at the age of 15, and then at the age of 19, I graduated UCLA fairly early, and I went to teach full-time spirituality all around the world, and I did it for charity. So probably gave a couple thousand seminars, and then I used to do coaching during the day and meeting with great people. When I was 29 years old, MaryRuth and we started the brand MaryRuth Organics. Mm-hmm. We bootstrapped it. We had no money, and it's like a pretty well-known wellness brand for those who are listening. But what was interesting was there are certain spiritual, I would say, concepts we applied to the building of this brand. And 10 years later, it became what it is. Like we're in 180 countries. We have 250 products. We have 200 employees. It's the number one liquid vitamin brand in the nation. It's the number one kids and infant toddler brand. It's the up and coming number one hair and beauty brand. Mm-hmm. So all of this was born not from any business experience. Like we have no business experience. I never got a degree in anything finance related. I don't even know how to run an Excel sheet. But what was powerful was everything we just learned on YouTube. We learned manufacturing, design, marketing, Amazon, supply chain, logistics, just learned it on YouTube. Wow. And we didn't hire our first employee until we hit 20 million of revenue. So it was just us. And it just goes to show that everything is a mindset. Everything is consciousness. And what I've seen is the people who believe, and this is how I'll link this into how I built my social media. If you believe that it's easy to build, then you open up the portal to draw the energy to build. If someone like Elon Musk thinks it's easy to colonize Mars, so he attracts the right engineers, the right ideas, the right resources to do so. If you think it's hard, or not just that, but somewhere deep down inside, you have a competing belief system or competing desire about growth. So for example, you could say, I want to grow my audience, but you also have another desire, which is, I don't want to lose my freedom. I don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to become well-known because when you're famous, X, Y, and Z negative things happen. So these are competing desires that people have inside of themselves, and it sends out a conflicting resonance out to the universe, and that's why there's stagnation. So the reason why people don't grow and they don't succeed, it's not because they don't want success. It's because they have other hidden desires that are competing with that success. I see this in relationships all the time. I don't know what your demo is around. Are they single? Are they in relationships?
They'd love to hear any relationship tips and tricks too.
So a lot of times when I talk to single men or women who crave a relationship, but they've been single for a long time, and they're like, I don't get it. And I hear it all the time, like it's impossible to date in LA. It's impossible to date in New York. It's whatever city people live in, they just say it's impossible to date there. But the reality is, that there's 50 to 60% of them that wants to be in a relationship. And then there's 50 to 40% of them that want something else that competes with that desire. So they want freedom, or they maybe associate marriage with unhappiness, or they maybe associate having children with losing my body, losing my freedom. There's a lot of very subconscious, soul level, past life even desires and belief systems that are competing with people succeeding in life or finding relationships. If you're not clear about what you want, the creator is not clear. And so the universe doesn't know what to send you. So then when it came to my social media, for 10 years I didn't have social media. I just had maybe 1,000 followers, and I didn't post once in 10 years. And then there was a moment where I said to myself, I felt like there was an inspiration. And this happens to people. Right? You get an inspiration from above. And then I said, okay, if this is coming to me, it means the creator has an opening for me to do social media. And so what I did is I went for a walk. And this is something I talk about a lot in Kabbalah. I use a tool that is very much like prayer. Prayer is a technology that builds a vessel to draw energy and wisdom and information. That's what prayer is really for. So I'll walk and I'll ask the universe, ask the creator, however you want to say it. I'll say, what should my social media look like? What's going to make this reach the most amount of people? And I would ask for 1 hour. And I would see things. I would see visions of it was actually a podcast format. I saw the type of content, so I started writing it. All those pieces came together. And I think the first or second piece of content I posted had a couple million views. It was crazy. It was a concept of, if somebody speaks poorly behind your back and you don't get upset about it, they take negativity away from your soul. So it was a hook that people really resonated with, and I think they had 100,000 plus shares or something, and it took off. And then ever since then, that's how it grew.
And how do you tap into that vision? If somebody's like, okay, I'm asking, I don't see the vision, how do you tap into that?
So it's interesting. The reason why people aren't seeing the vision is one of two reasons. You need to ask until you see the vision. A lot of times people ask for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they don't see anything, they give up. You have to keep going relentlessly, and then the portal opens. We don't know how long it's going to take each soul to tap in. What we know is when you ask And the secret is to ask out loud. Like, I know it sounds like you're a crazy person, but literally the way I'm talking to you, you should be talking to the creator. Okay. Just say, hey, I want to know this. I want to know that. And I would ask over and over again. It's so repetitive, but eventually there's a certain moment where you do it and the energy unlocks and it comes down. And then you need to also take more action. You need to manifest, what I always say is manifest the idea that the creator gave you within 24 hours. Otherwise you lose momentum and the negative side and then negative energies come in and then you lose it all. So how many times has a vision come to us, but for those 24 hours we did nothing about it and we lost the opportunity?
Yeah. And I want to talk about listening to you. I'm like, wow, okay, I don't feed my podcast a bunch of BS, because starting my agency, I never, just like you, I never went to school to be a CEO.
Right.
I was in PR and I had this seed planted in my mind when I was on the subway in 2017, an intuition. It was crazy. Never thought about doing this before. You need to manage influencers. That same day.
So that vision came to you.
Yes. It was, but I try to tell them that, and I'm like, wow, I sound crazy because I don't know if other people have gone through this.
Correct. That's how it is.
It's like that little voice inside of you, like a Morgan Freeman voice, you know, of like, manage influencers. Yeah. And I did, and that same day I got to work. I took action, and I saw rapid things happening and rapid success with it. And you had mentioned that a few times now, and so how can people listen to their intuition? What does it sound like? And how do you know it's your intuition and you're not just, because there's a difference between your intuition telling you, you need to do this, or if you have dreams that are a little silly that aren't really your dreams, but maybe you think they're your dreams. It's
a great question. This is why the 24-hour rule kind of filters out what is coming directly from the creator or coming from, let's say, a place of nonsense, from the negative side. So what happens is every time I get an idea, and we have to cultivate this feeling. If I feel like it's a positive thing, I will spend 24 hours trying to manifest it. By the way, 9 out of 10 times it fails, or it's not meant to be. But those 9 times that I failed also helped me earn the 10th time. People don't realize that they need to fail in order to create enough energy and momentum to succeed. People are so afraid of failing, or they only want to succeed. They don't want to make the wrong choice, invest the wrong time, lose any money. But it's actually the times that you're losing money that's revealing the final moment where it's going to manifest. Another example of that would be, let's say you went on like 20 bad dates and it's just like, you're like, dating sucks. But the truth is, those 20 bad dates, the energy you put into them wasn't lost. It's all being accumulated to help you earn and build your soulmate. So imagine every date that was a bad date is like building another aspect of your soulmate's soul for you. So everything is good. Everything is building. Everything is energy. Like, don't worry about that. And that is what I would tell people, just to keep moving forward, testing, trying. Because what the failures also teach you is they teach you about yourself and they teach you what works, and it helps you calibrate your intuition better that way. You'll realize, wait, that was intuition because I tried it and I succeeded. And then you try it again, you succeed, and then you have a pattern.
And what if somebody has this dream, and there's so many people in their 20s who have a dream, like, this is my dream career, and they're trying like year after year after year, nothing's happening. Do you feel like—
Give me an example.
A lot of actors in LA.
Okay.
Great example.
Okay.
They want to be an actor. It's a saturated space. They're sending in audition tapes. They have management. They are good at what they're doing, but nothing is sticking. They're not getting cast for anything. And they're discouraged. Do they keep going, or is this not meant for them?
That's a great question. So often people don't know how much it takes to manifest something. And it really gets divided into 5 quadrants. There's 5 things a person needs to do. And if they do these 5 things perfectly, they'll have a breakthrough, no matter what. Okay. So the first one is maximum physical work, right? I call it maximum physical work. What does that mean? It means in this physical world, are you doing absolutely everything to be the best at what you do? Like, if I sell vitamins on Amazon, my goal is to become the best on Amazon. So I will listen to every podcast. I will go to lunch with every founder who's on Amazon. I will do it until I think I am a complete expert in the field, until I understand, until I start dreaming about Amazon. That's what you need to do. So I remember one time, Anthony Hopkins came to a Kabbalah class, and very spiritual person. He's public about going to AA and a lot of spirituality there, and Kabbalah is a part of his spiritual path. And one time he invited me to something, and he brought me into a room, and he said, this is the room that I sit before every time I get a new script. I read the script 300 times until I've memorized every word, and every word is a part of my body and soul. I embody it, and now I'm ready for the film. So this guy reads the script 300 times. Who's reading the script 300 times? But he realized I have to fulfill the maximum physical. And he's arguably one of the best actors of our time, but he still reads the script 300 times. He still puts in the physical work. The second bucket is maximum spiritual work. And Kabbalah teaches you what that means. When a person studies Kabbalah, they learn the spiritual system of how to transform their soul in order to access what's called the light of the Creator, the light of miracles. And what I'll say about that is, at any given moment, the universe is showing us a certain fear or negative trait that we must transform. And if you're listening to this, most likely you've experienced what this fear or negative trait is. If you're self-aware, you know what it is. If you're self-aware, often you'll see it through relationships. People are bringing it out in you. People you love are awakening your anger, your negativity, your fear of abandonment, your need for control, there's so many. Your jealousy, like you're seeing it come up over and over again. Instead of blaming the other person, realize that the universe is sending you this so that you can see what you need to change, because that builds the vessel for success. So yeah, the reason why you're not getting visions or you're not getting the big break in Hollywood is because you still have anger, betrayal issues with your mom that you haven't dealt with. Well, what's the correlation? Kabbalah explains a direct correlation. The physical and spiritual worlds are connected. If you want physical success, you have to do the spiritual work. Well, what about all those people who are successful, they don't do any spiritual work, and they're horrible people? I'm not saying it's hard to not get cash or to build or get fame, but is there blessing there? Are there miracles there? Is it going to last? There's a lot of questions to be asked. So not to judge someone who is successful but not spiritual. So I would say that's the second bucket. The third bucket is complete certainty. Complete certainty. Certainty that I will get the role that is meant for me. Certainty with no doubts. And every day you're going to wake up with a new doubt, a new fear, and you're constantly injecting certainty, even if you don't believe it, even if you're faking it. So that would be the third bucket. The fourth bucket, I say, is prayer. Are you asking the universe constantly for help? Are you asking to meet the right people? Are you asking you're asking for certainty? Are you asking to know more, to be more, to do more, whatever it is? That part of it is also super important because it awakens the desire, builds the vessel to draw this miracle. And the fifth one is to let go and surrender at the same time. Can you do all of that and not be attached to the outcome? Very powerful. Because a lot of times people do so much work, but the reason it's not manifesting is they're not letting go. You got to let go at the end. Everything in life, before it manifests, you got to let go. Like a seed. If I take an apple seed, I need to actually bury it under the ground for it to grow. And I need to let the seed go to the point I can't see it anymore in order for it to manifest. So those are the 5.
Don't overthink it. Don't keep checking. Just sort of send it to the universe and move on with your day and your life.
After you've done your maximum.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of times people surrender before they do anything. They're like, you know what? I need to go to the gym, but I'm going to surrender. No, that's not how that works.
And this is a regular practice too, you're saying. It's not a one and done. You need to be doing this.
This is every day.
Every day.
Every department, every bucket, whether it's relationship, health, wellness, business, got to do these 5 buckets. I talk about it in my Kabbalah 1 and 2 masterclass I think it's like the last class. It's called the miracle formula. It's how to break through any kind of miracle.
Yeah, and I love that. Before we get into, and I want to talk about fulfillment, life purpose, but can you give a little info on what Kabbalah is, just in case people are listening and they're like, what are they talking about?
Sure. So Kabbalah is universal spiritual wisdom that existed since the beginning of time that explains the universal laws of the human soul. So every religion can study Kabbalah, and they do. Every spiritual path studies Kabbalah, and many do. It says that Jesus was a Kabbalist, Moses was a Kabbalist, King David was a Kabbalist, Abraham was a Kabbalist. It means they understood how energy works between the soul and the creator. The same way that there are physical laws in this world, like gravity, that we all have to abide by. You can't just walk off your balcony. There's going to be a repercussion. There are spiritual laws behind relationships, spiritual laws behind health and healing, consciousness, happiness, certainty. So all these laws, cause and effect. And so Kabbalah starts to explain all of that, and it begins to create a system for people of how to live their life. Mm-hmm. So I would say that is kind of the short version of what Kabbalah is.
And I know there's so much to Kabbalah.
It's infinite.
So I had to narrow down what I wanted to pick your brain on.
It's infinite. Like, every concept is covered in Kabbalah. That's right.
Yeah, I just going through your Instagram, and I'm like, there is a lot to Kabbalah. I need to narrow down here.
There's a lot.
So what I find most interesting, and you and I had spoken about this, is I am so interested in life purpose. You know, why our souls are put in our dead human body. What are we doing here? Yeah. You know, and a lot of people are confused and they don't understand what their purpose is. So I want to talk about life purpose, why we're in these dense human bodies, what souls are, what we're supposed to be doing here, all of that stuff.
Great question. So the reason why the soul chose to come to this world of darkness is because it wanted to earn becoming like God. If we receive every pleasure for free, we won't appreciate it. We won't feel a sense of ownership. So we'll have shame. So what the Creator did is he concealed his miracles, his light. We don't come to this world knowing who our soulmate is. We don't come to this world knowing what our purpose is. We don't come to this world with like everything working out for us. It's concealed from us. It's like a scavenger hunt. Mm-hmm. And there's something that we need to do, work that we need to do that unlocks this energy to flow into our lives, and then it manifests as physical miracles too and physical blessings, all the pleasures that you want in life. So every soul that comes in this world has a purpose and has a baggage of negativity it needs to transform, and by transforming that negativity, they're able to access this energy of miracles. They will have earned this energy. Life is only about that. This is the only purpose. Everything else is an illusion. So what happens is the soul chooses the parents that are perfect for its correction. You may choose emotionally unavailable and avoidant parents. Why? Because you came with the baggage of fear of abandonment. So the best parents for you are going to be avoidant parents. Why? In order to awaken and show you the baggage that you need to transform. So we attract relationships that awaken our baggage. Mm-hmm. That show us what we need to change. And as a result, we can change it and then access miracles. But people don't like hearing that. They often blame the other person, and then they never change. And what happens when they don't change is the soul has to come back, and the soul fragments into, let's say, 4 or 5 more souls. And each of these 4 or 5 souls takes on a piece of the original negativity that wasn't cleansed. So let's say you have anger issues your whole life, and you never change it. Your soul reincarnates into like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever souls, more souls, and each of them takes a piece of the anger to work through. And all of your soulmates in many ways too. So often you'll meet someone you have a deep connection with. It could be a piece of your soul. So there's so many soulmates, so many different kinds of soulmates. Mm-hmm. So.
And how long do you think it takes to come back? Like, so if somebody passes away now, when will they be put in another?
It's instantaneous because time doesn't exist above this physical world. So some people say it could last up to 12 months, but it could happen in the blink of an eye.
Okay, and so you're always just working on, like, through all of that, you know, the negativity or abandonment issues until what happens once you work through it all?
Work through it all? It's a deep
So
question.
what's the end game?
It's a deep question. Well, one of the things that happens if you work through it all, you start to experience heaven on earth. You start to access so much energy. You start to see everything. You see past, present, and future. You start to see through people. You start to read minds. You start to see have miracles wherever you go. Chaos can't touch you. It's a really great feeling once you start working through all of that.
And in terms of life purpose, I always think of purpose as in when I started my agency, I'm like, I feel fulfilled. This must be my life purpose.
Yep.
And then I started doing some good in the world. And
Yep.
I'm like, oh, the agency wasn't my purpose. I need to do good in the world. This is the purpose. But then I'm still not feeling like the bucket's full.
It's not. Because once you help millions of people and make millions of dollars, you're going to feel just the same. Our purpose is to transform our negativity and become one with the Creator. This is the only thing that is our purpose. And so the whole world is conspiring to help you with that.
Okay. So you're saying that someone's purpose on earth, I guess I was wrong. It's not what you are doing, it's working on yourself.
So it's two things. It's such a good question. We have two main purposes. One is the transformation of our own negativity, and two, the way we bring value to the world. Some people are just focusing on how do I bring value to the world? Building a company, helping, charitable, whatever. But they're not dealing with their stuff. They're not transforming who they are. So they're doing all of these nice things, which is good. It's positive for the world, but it's not correcting their soul. So they're not going to see the miracles they want to see, and they're not going to have the happiness they want to have. And they're going to have to come back and do it again next life. So are you focusing on both? As you're following your passion, which you should be, as you're looking for the greatest way to add value to this world, as you should be, are you also seeing what's coming up for you? Are you seeing the fears and the jealousy and the insecurity and the reactive behavior? Every time you're reactive, you disconnect from the world of miracles. Reactive behavior, by definition, is any thought, word, or action which comes from lack or fear in order to connect to instant gratification. That's reactive behavior. And people are reactive all day long. Someone says something, someone does something, someone doesn't do something. You don't get a response from the guy you're dating, or somebody speaking poorly about you, or you lose a business deal you've been working on for a while. You have lack. And then you want to be reactive. You want to find a way to self-soothe that lack. The moment you react, you disconnect from the light. Disconnect from miracle.
And once you get through that, say you have anger problems or jealousy issues, and you're actually actively working on it, the universe will reward you while you're on this earth.
Just the effort of working on it is already revealing miracles.
I did not know any of this. I've been doing everything wrong. I'm like, wow, my agency, this is my purpose. Like, no.
Well, it is. It's part of your purpose. It's 50% of your purpose, right? But what does the agency make you feel? Like, I have a student of mine who owns an agency and just gets frustrated by her employees all the time. So just always frustrated. So her purpose, she's living both her purposes at the same time. First purpose, she's bringing, good energy to the world through her agency. Second purpose is her agency is frustrating her every day. So it's showing her all the things she needs to change about herself.
Yeah.
Now you're nailing both purposes at the same time.
I've learned that things will happen, just don't react, and
Correct.
Even life happens. You're always going to have challenges, and what is your take on so the universe is giving you challenges throughout your life?
Correct.
And if you move through those challenges without freaking out and attracting more negativity, you'll see blessings on the other side.
Yes. So before any great revelation, there's going to be a period of darkness. So people listening right now, if you're going through a period of darkness, pain, something's confusing, something's not working out. It's right before something great is about to happen. Right before you find your soulmate. Right before you understand your purpose in life. Right before great career. These are big things. Or it can be small things. It can be little pockets of wisdom are coming your way. It can be friendship. It can be whatever. Right before something great is revealed, there's some darkness that happens in order to purify you, cleanse you, and elevate you to receive this new gift. So challenges are really just the stepping stone, the precursor to that which wants to be revealed in your soul. So don't freak out. Kabbalah says two things. Don't react. So don't run to your old patterns of instant gratification. Don't be a victim. Don't complain. And the number two thing they say is have certainty. Have complete certainty that everything's going to work out. You may not know how, you may not know when, But doubts prolong the challenges. Doubts prolong the process. Can't have doubts.
I mean, I'm loving that, because this year, especially for me, I felt like I've been challenged. And then when I see the other side, something comes up. And I'm like, but I'm like, I know the universe is doing this because something big is happening. I'm going to all of these roadblocks and issues and challenges.
Beautiful.
I'm just like, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just emotionless about it.
Beautiful.
So I'm like, I know the universe. I know something big is going to happen.
I love that.
And the universe is challenging me and removing what is meant to, be removed from my life to let in this blessing.
Beautiful.
I'm just waiting for it.
I love it. I love it. Exactly, that's the attitude.
But this has never happened to me before. I've had like smooth sailing for 5 years. And then this year, I'm like, I just feel like I keep getting challenges. And I'm like, the universe must be up to something.
It is up to something. You've been asking for something greater. So every time you ask for something great, it starts to detox that which is limited inside of you.
Yeah.
So you start to see all the limitations. So that which was good for you 3 years ago is no longer good for you today.
Because in order to evolve, things can't look the same. You have to welcome change and transition, right?
The chewing gum has lost its flavor. You got to let go of old belief systems that got you successful 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find new friends. I always do this. I try once or twice a week to meet with someone who's, I think, has built something that I'm really inspired by, or is successful in some way, and just to learn from them. Connect to their aura, connect to their surrounding energy.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and especially owning a brand or any sort of business, it looks different every year. Yeah. And you look around one moment and you're like, everything's good. I love all of these people. The next year, it's going to be different because you're evolving and it has to look different.
Yeah. Your core team now that you're running with and you're having a great time. I mean, truth is probably in 3-5 years, if you're growing at the rate you are, it's going to be a different team.
I know, and I hate it. I'm like, can you guys just die with me? Like, just stay. But
there are some that will grow with you, right? But to say that 100%, it's never like that.
Yeah. And then I remember when I worked for people, I was jumping around agencies trying to just find myself. You have to remember, they're just trying to find their journey and their purpose, and it's not always your business.
That is correct.
So it's always a learning. But I'm like, when you look around and you love it, you're like, life is good right now. Oh, gosh, just give it a year. It'll look much different.
Agreed.
So now I want to go a little dark.
Go dark. Let's do it.
I want to talk about the afterlife. So first, I want to talk about,
How much time do we have? How much time?
We don't have a lot of time, so we have to be short and sweet.
All right, that's good. We're good.
But so if somebody is sick on earth or they commit suicide, what happens to their soul? Because I was wondering that.
Sick on earth or commit suicide?
Sick as in like cancer. They pass away from a sickness.
Okay.
Or suicide.
All right. So two very challenging concepts, but Kabbalah does talk about it. Mm-hmm. Often when a person leaves this world, I did make a reel about this, and there's a lot of sickness before they leave this world, it's actually very positive because it's cleansing the soul of a lot of negativity so that it reincarnates in a very beautiful way. So it's not a bad thing. It's painful to watch. It's painful. The whole thing is very painful for the family, for the person. But the silver lining is it is cleansing so much darkness and negativity so that the soul can elevate to a higher place when it does. Suicide is very interesting. And every time I've talked about this in the last 20 years of teaching Kabbalah 1 in a live class, I've always had one person come up to me and say, I thought about suicide during this class, and this concept helped me not do it. Literally every year. The desire, let's say a person is 34 years old, 2 months.
Are you saying that because that's my...
I think just came to my mind. Just came to my mind. I didn't think about it.
No suicide thoughts.
I totally forgot you're 34. So 34, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days at 10 a.m. I don't think that's you. They all of a sudden feel this overwhelming desire that it's too much for them. Everything's too much. They want to leave this world. Well, where did this come from? Yes, your circumstances are not positive and you're in pain. That, yes. But last lifetime, at this exact age, at this exact time, you also felt the same feelings. Whatever your circumstances were, and you chose to hit the eject button. You chose not to push through because there's always a miracle waiting. The Creator will never send someone a challenge they cannot handle. It may seem like we can't handle it, but the Creator always has a solution. There's always a door. We have to look for it. So the correction of this soul was at that moment to say, you know what? Even though I don't want to live, I will push forward with certainty, with happiness, with joy, in any way I can. Because they didn't do that, they have to come back next life and go through the whole thing all over again. At that exact age, at exact time, the same feelings will come up again.
Oh, they have to keep, it's like a video game almost.
It's a video game, and they have to keep coming back.
I did hear that before. I was just trying to, I wanted to confirm it. Yeah.
So you're not, a person needs to know you're going to have to go through all that all over again.
And if you stay strong through that same time, daytime.
The miracle is minutes away sometimes. Minutes away. People don't see it. They think it's hopeless.
And what does the miracle look like? That you are at peace again, or you have...
It's an internal miracle and an external miracle. Kabbalah is not just about woo-woo, feel good about yourself and your life's in shambles. Kabbalah actually manifests in the physical world, the miracles and the success.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's not just like a perspective shift, but you still have a horrible life and you're still broke or this and that. No. It is a perspective shift, but it is a consciousness that then becomes the seed level of the physical world manifesting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that is interesting. So you got to just stay strong even though...
That's right.
Oh my gosh. And like also, I'm not going to go into suicide too much, but like the failed suicide, obviously the universe is choosing those people to keep going for a reason.
The universe is helping and assisting for whatever merit you had because of something positive you did in the past. The universe is helping you push through because it knows that you'll be happy in the end.
Yeah. And I find the other side to be so fascinating. Just having dealt with people passing away in my life, they would pass away and I'd be like, well, where'd they go? Like I want to find out.
You're always intrigued with the other side.
I'm like, okay, I'm just thinking of like growing up with the Bible and I'm like, oh, heaven or hell. And if you mess up, you go to hell. And I'm like, there must be more.
They don't talk about, in Catholicism, they don't talk about reincarnation.
Oh, they don't?
I don't know, do they? I remember teaching in the Philippines once. 95% Catholic, and they said, what seminar are you in? I'm like, let's do reincarnation. It's a big hit in the U.S.
Oh.
Like, it's an all-Catholic country. They're not going to like it. I went. It was like 500 people came, and it was all of the paper, the media, whatever. Like everyone was excited to learn because no matter what religion you were raised with, there's a deep yearning to understand the spiritual side of it. Mm-hmm. So Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, it all come from the same source.
Yeah. Exactly. And so when they passed away, I told you I went to see a medium and I didn't know if it would work. I've seen like the TV shows and I went and like she quite literally brought my ex-boyfriend back and wow. she didn't have any
you knew
prior.
It was him.
Yes, because she didn't have any prior information from me. I didn't give her anything. And then also, he had passed away 4 days before I was called to go to her. Wow. I had this intuitive thought, you need to see a medium. Wow. I had never thought about that before. I found one in New York City. I went to see her, started recording, and she described the person in the room. And then he was speaking through her, and I'm not just saying she was like, I see red, what does that mean? I mean, she's telling you all of our college memories.
Yeah, your whole audience is like, how do I meet this woman?
I mean, I just was like, okay, there's something I don't know. Because now I'm like, he's in a room with me, how? And then I started learning about energy and soul purpose and the other side and that your loved ones really are with you still when they pass, but they're going so fast, right? Like the energy frequencies, you can't see them.
That's right. You 100% know.
I told you, I did a deep dive on the research. I saw a lot of afterlife documentaries.
So much written about it.
Yeah.
What people see, what they don't see, what's happening to the soul. Almost always they say they don't want to come back because the energy is so strong and so positive. Nobody wants to come back to this.
And it's the most beautiful world on the other side, they say.
That's right.
They say that Earth is hell.
That is correct.
Yeah.
We have to create heaven on Earth through our spiritual work.
Yeah.
And it is possible. But if people just stay the same, they will feel like it's hell.
Yeah. And trust me, after that, I was like, I need to go visit him like weekly. I was like, I had adrenaline from it. I'm like, I'll be back here every week for conversations. Like, it was like, he's not dead. He's still here. I'm just kidding. I didn't go back after, but I closed the chapter for myself. And I wish more people understood what happens when people will go to their afterlife.
Yes.
So then they don't feel the grieving. It helped me with the grieving. So if somebody passes away, their soul leaves their body, where do they go? What's happening immediately after that?
Huh.
We don't have a lot of time. I got to cut you off soon, but.
These are good. So I'll answer this one. So actually 30 days before a person dies, a piece of their soul already starts to leave.
Oh, geez.
So it is known. Mm-hmm. Now, these decrees can be changed. If the person already has an expiration date, technically. Mm-hmm. And it says that every negative word we say shaves time off of our life. Complaining, evil speech, gossip, lying, looking for approval, like any word that comes out of our mouth as some kind of negative intention, we lose a little bit of our soul, so we lose a little bit of life. The number one cause of death is evil speech. That's the bottom line.
Wow.
Every positive word we say just protects our soul and keeps us living longer. So what is a positive word? Anything I say that is building, creating, adding value, making you feel good. Like, I'm sure all the words we're using on this podcast is to build, is to create. But if all I did now is speak negatively about somebody on this podcast for the next hour, I'd probably lose, God forbid, a day or so off my life. It's crazy. So I always tell people, just be quiet. Just be silent so that you have life, you have prosperity. Because a lot of times when people lose money suddenly, it has to do with one of two things: anger or evil speech. You cut out anger and evil speech, watch your wealth grow. Energetically, it's going to grow. So there is an expiration date. We can either extend it, make it shorter, or just go on the date of. It has a lot to do with the work, the spiritual work that we all do. Mm-hmm. Upon death, the soul leaves, and it can take up to 12 months to reincarnate. It can happen 1 second. It can happen in 12 months. Sometimes souls get trapped, which is a whole nother thing. It's like ghosts. Souls are looking for a host. So there are things that can possess other people. And there's positive versions of that too. So this period of time, you can best help the soul through the remaining family members. So the spiritual work that the people who are living do on behalf of that soul will help elevate the soul through its process. Mm-hmm. Thinking about the soul, meditating on the soul, and whatever spiritual work you're doing, meditate on the soul, and it'll elevate them every day. You should do that for 12 months.
Yeah. And when the soul leaves the body, what does it look like? Does it look like a cartoon, or are they greeted with loved ones?
It's like, what do atoms look like? Right? Mm-hmm. Think about it. If you burn this carpet, and it disintegrates, goes smoke. It's the same atoms, just now converted to a different object.
Okay.
So, very similar, the soul is like an energy intelligence. It's not like doesn't have a physical look. It's a feeling. It's a connection to a non-physical being, non-physical essence. So hard to say because I've never seen it.
Yeah. I heard that they choose the body that they want, or how they want to look. It could be a younger version of themselves.
Yes.
And on the other side, that they're doing what they loved. My dad said, I was like, what are you doing on the other side? He's like, I'm still hunting and fishing and doing and boating.
I love that.
I'm just doing what I enjoyed.
I love that. Except they don't have free will. So they only see God. They only see the truth. So they lose free will, which is great. They only do the right thing.
Oh, really? Yeah. And they're just in like this blissful world until they're in another body.
That is correct.
Oh, I have one more big question.
All right.
So
it's probably be our last one.
I geek out over this.
Yeah, no, once you go down this rabbit hole, it's endless.
I know,
your audience is like, wait a minute, I have 40 more questions.
Thank God I have a boyfriend, or else no one would date me. I'm like the weirdo.
I'm telling you, this is the stuff that people like most in dating now.
This is the stuff
in LA, at least. This is an LA conversation.
Yeah. So if my father had passed away, he did the work on the other side. He's now in another body. Am I connected with that new body or that new person because we were connected before?
Say that again.
So if my father passed away, he did his work on the other side.
Reincarnated, let's say.
Now he's reincarnated in a different human body.
Yeah.
Is he going to be an acquaintance to me in some sort of way? Or maybe...
Not necessarily.
Okay.
If there's work to be done, he could come as your son or your daughter.
Oh, God.
If you didn't do work with him. And all of a sudden you
My
have a
son and my
child.
daughter
You have
is
a
my
child that
father.
reminds you of your father. That's what happens.
Really? That happens?
And it may not be the soul. It may be a piece of the soul. There's many different variations. Like, this is a very advanced Kabbalah, but it could be like an aspect of your father attaches itself to your daughter or son for a short amount of time, for a long amount of time, until the work is done, and then it can go again.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very fascinating stuff. I mean, we can definitely do a second podcast. If
Yeah,
people
we'll do
hear
an
this,
afterlife
if people hear this and they like it, like, send me your questions. Like, send questions to Samantha or me. Like, we will. I always like to hear the engagement around this, because there's infinite concepts, like infinite. I've given 2,000. I can just endless. Kabbalah is endless content I've learned from my teachers. I've been studying for 25 years.
Yeah.
So really, whatever you want to know, it's here.
I mean, like I said, when I was looking you up, I was like, how do I narrow down? We have an hour. There's so much to go through. But what resonates with me the most is I love talking about, why you're on this earth, and afterlife has always, since I started losing people to help me grieve, I wanted to better understand. And when I saw that you speak on that, I was like, oh, I'm going to pick his brain. And
Absolutely.
I love chatting about that stuff, and I do think it does sometimes take losing a loved one to find interest in it. If I chat about afterlife with my friends who have not lost a grandparent, they're like,
how does this relate to me
they're
right
like,
now?
I don't, like, you're kind of crazy, okay?
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
but when you lose somebody, it brings you peace to know this.
100%. 100%.
You know?
It's a very mature thing to say.
Yeah, so we have to do an afterlife part 2. I love it. So, but we have to wrap up. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
I loved
having me.
this conversation. It was very cool and insightful, and the afterlife stuff always just makes me happy. It's weird. But
And of course, if people want to learn more about it, I think I've done so many on my Instagram, so many clips and reels about afterlife, past life, souls, energy work. And then if they go to my masterclass, it's free, or you can pay whatever you want. It's all donation based. Kabbalah1.com. Everything is there. Kabbalah 1, Kabbalah 2, Kabbalah 3. We go deep into reincarnation as well.
yes, and I will link your Instagram as well.
Amazing.
But I think it's so fascinating. And even if somebody's lost a grandparent and they're like, just to know that they're okay 100%. And they're still with them.
100%.
Oh my gosh, when I was talking to the medium, my ex was with me at my birthday. He saw like the sign and everything. She's like, I see like a marquee. I went to a club. I was young. And she's like, I see a marquee sign with like your name and everything. I was like, he was at the club with me? Like,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Sean,
That's
what
crazy.
are you doing here? It is,
That's
but it
crazy.
also brings you peace knowing that.
I love that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Great time with you. Thank you.
Until next time, y'all.